Hey, big story from the weekend. Let's talk about those by-elections.
Elections.
Oh, man. I'm going to miss doing that a lot. All right, what happened?
Labor's Super Saturday by-election victories may have just saved Bill Shorten his job as opposition leader. Labor secured wins in the hotly contested seats of Longman and Braddon.
What a great night for the Labor Party. Actually, what a Super Saturday night it is.
Good joke, Bill. Very good. Somehow, even when winning, he manages to seem like a loser. It's incredible. Labor retained all 4 seats they were running in. Central Alliance's Rebecca Sharkey kept her seat, so nothing's really changed. Classic Australian politics. Not only did the government lose those races, worse still, the Prime Minister was caught eating a meat pie with a knife and fork. An outrage! This is not the true blue, down-to-earth, dinky-die Malcolm Turnbull that we all know and love! To be fair to him, normally his butler does it. And normally it's quail. But it is ridiculous. Oh, no, OK, a few quail fans in. It's ridiculous. We all know there are only 2 ways to eat an Aussie meat pie: with your hands or off the floor because it was too hot and you dropped it. Those are the only 2 ways. And that wasn't the only culinary crime the Liberals committed on the weekend, right? In the seat of Mayo, here's former Liberal leader Alexander Downer at the Liberal Party function, has a dip of the spring roll, all right? And then double dips! He bloody dipped again, you double-dipping bastard! An outrage! Always make sure no one's looking when you double dip. You dip, you eat, left, right, then you dip again. Plus, he did it in front of a camera. This man gives 0 fucks. I would not be surprised if he was triple dipping. That's not far off treason, if you ask me. I'll calm down. Sorry, everyone. In the seat of Fremantle in WA, the coalition didn't even stand a candidate, so Labor's Josh Wilson won easily. He was up against Liberal Democrat candidate John Gray, who apparently was campaigning hard on one very specific issue.
The Liberal Democrats have been campaigning on vaping over there, and they actually released an opinion poll this morning about vaping, so we might hear a bit more about vaping.
God, I want to hear more about vaping, mainly to hear Antony Green use the phrase vaping. I love it. But ABC host and Killjoy Greg Jennett was having none of it.
Well, Antony Green getting dangerously close to a discussion there about vaping, which I thought we'd sorted out we were not going to do. Please do not mention Liberal Democrats in any of the Western Australian seats, nor vaping. Thanks, team.
Shut up, Janet! If Antony Green wants to talk about vaping, you let him talk about vaping. You're not the boss of Antony. What do you think, Labor MP Ed Husick?
If I had one criticism, it's we didn't talk about vaping enough tonight.
Exactly. Oh, boy. I gotta quit that. All right. In the Queensland seat of Longman, Pauline Hanson made an appearance, kind of, not really at all.
Carrying One Nation's campaign on his own, Pauline Hanson's candidate says he's no pushover.
I think she's got some sea legs, but she'll be all right.
Using cardboard cutouts in place of the One Nation leader, who's ditched campaigning for a European cruise.
Yes, with Pauline away at a cruise, One Nation made do with 50 cardboard cutouts of her, creating the creepiest version of Guess Who I've ever seen. That game's even harder when she's in a burqa. But One Nation candidate Matt Stevens defended the choice, claiming that the cardboard cutouts were as good as the real thing. And yes, I must say, I, Tom Ballard, heartily agree. A cutout is just as good as a real thing, particularly if the cutout is actually just someone's face stuck on Daryl Summers' body. Hey, what do you think about Pauline Hanson's Jemay from Summer Heights High? I think we should stop all Muslim immigration. All right, that's quite enough of you. Get out of there. Oh, God. Be careful, we've got to return those. In the Tasmanian seat of Braddon, there was actually a swing to the Libs, but it wasn't enough to beat Labor on preferences. A big winner there was independent candidate Craig Garland.
But it's fisherman and independent Craig Garland who's the real toast of the town.
Better get a full one then.
Netting 11% of the vote.
He doesn't bullshit. Fishermen don't tell lies.
What? Fishermen are notorious liars. Either they lie or every fish ever caught was this big. Come on. Craig Garland won 10.6% of the vote in Braddon and was largely responsible for Labor's Justine Key winning the seat thanks to the flow of preferences from Garland's supporters. And that is pretty impressive, seeing as how in some ways Craig Garland seemed to put in as little effort as humanly possible, with his entire campaign involving just 10 signs. When he was asked about this very low number of signs, he was quoted as saying he actually had 14 signs, but he forgot to put 4 up. Where were they? Just in his house? Did he just walk into his living room every day and see them and think, oh yeah, vote for me, good stuff, back to bed? Don't worry, people, Craig is a pro. Just listen to what Frank Kelly said to him on Our Own Breakfast this week.
You are an unlikely candidate, I'd have to say. I mean, you joked recently you've only just not long had a pair of shoes.
He's got shoes, people! That is huge. I'm sure he needed them too when he was putting up those 10 signs. So Craig had shoes, check. He's lived in the community for decades, and that is his main advantage. The locals know him.
Well, a lot of them didn't even know that my name was Craig Garland. My nickname is Garbo. Most people down here know me as that, so I had people coming up to me after the state election saying, well, we didn't even know you were on the ballot.
Come on, Garbo! You can't even get a vote from your mates! And his mates were his key demographic, given half his campaign materials were in his house! Vote Garbo, who's got shoes? Hey, what do you think about Craig Garland, world-renowned violinist Andre Rieu? I think he's a great advocate for his community. I love his clogs. I'm Dutch, by the way. Thanks, mate. Fuck, I gotta quit vaping, I really do. So the question now is, what is the Turnbull government going to do now?
This morning's Super Saturday blowout. Tough questions for the Prime Minister following its big loss to Labor in the weekend by-elections.
His colleagues are reportedly urging him to scrap his corporate tax cuts, warning him it will lead to a big loss at a general election.
Oh, good luck. The coalition is not keen to drop their company tax cuts plans. Finance Minister Matthias Cormann even said that if the tax cuts fail to pass the Senate, they will take them to the next election. Now, I believe we actually have exclusive footage of the Turnbull government sticking with the company tax plan. There they go, sticking with that legislative agenda. Keep going, son. And there we go. Well, that's a shame. To some other news now involving prison sex.
Revelations of sex between inmates and guards in the state's prisons are to be investigated by a special task force.
A number of affairs between guards and inmates have come to light after allegations emerged that prison guard Amy Connors and cop killer Sione Penasini were caught out having sex at Kempsey Jail.
Now, former Police Assistant Commissioner Mark Murdoch will turn his skills to the sordid liaisons between prisoners and those charged with guarding them and just how rife they are.
Oh, sex in prison is rife. Trust me, I've seen Wentworth and Oz and Orange is the New Black, and they are rife and all night long. Apparently, encounters between prison staff and inmates is commonplace, according to one whistleblower. By the way, in prison sex terms, a whistleblower is a police warden who goes down on you. I am not ashamed! I gotta say, the coverage of this stuff from the media has been quite steamy, if you don't mind. There's talk of prison love and hotbeds of sex. There are details on guards having raunchy sex sessions with murderers. There are even lurid pictures of both the prison guards in question and buff inmates. Oh! Wouldn't mind Shawshanking his redemption. Sorry, OK. I'm being told that man is on parole. I take that back. I have nothing but respect for that lovely gentleman.